Hey guys, this is video 2. This video is to figure out how to find the area of a trapezoid. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral, which means it is a four-sided shape where it has exactly one set of parallel lines. So if you look at this line right here, which hopefully you can see that in yellow, and that line right there, so this line and that line, those are parallel lines because they will never touch. Rectangles and squares have two parallel lines, two sets of parallel lines, where a trapezoid only has one set of parallel lines. A trapezoid can take two shapes on. A trapezoid can look like the one in the picture, like this right here. And it can have that same shape also, where it's also just turned upside down. And we can also have what we call a right trapezoid, which is where we have one straight line, and then on top and bottom are our parallel lines. And it looks like that. Those right there are all different shapes or different versions of a trapezoid. So once again, a trapezoid is a four-sided shape that has exactly one set of parallel lines. To find the area of a trapezoid, the official formula says that we take the 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. And if you remember PEMDAS, we'd have to do what's inside the parentheses first. I think it's easier to follow this formula right here, which says area equals height times base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. And if you were in class, I'd really pound that formula into your head. But for this, since it's e-learning and this is a little bit harder to do, I really want you guys to just follow these 3 steps right here. Step 1 is we're going to add the bases together. Step 2 is we're going to multiply by the height. And just like a triangle, the height is the vertical line. Can't be slanted. The height of a shape is a straight up and down line. And after we do that, we divide it by 2. So just like yesterday when we talked about triangles and trapezoids and 2, all start with T, here's our trapezoid, so we have to divide it by 2 when we're done. So we add the bases, we multiply by the height, and we divide by 2. And I just noticed that I misspelled height there. So I'm going to fix that real quick so you guys have the right spelling. Height. Right. So I would highly suggest maybe taking a screenshot of this page to help you out, and especially this part right here. That might be a part where you might want to take a screenshot of too, because that really is the easiest way to understand what we are going to do here. So let's do a couple examples together. So here I have a trapezoid, and if I wanted to find the perimeter, I would just add all of these sides together for the perimeter. I'd add that plus that plus that plus that. But I want to find the area. So to find the area of this, step 1 is I add the bases. And the bases are my parallel lines. Those are my bases. My parallel lines. So my parallel lines here are this line and that line. So step 1, add the bases. 5 plus 8 equals 13. Step 2 says multiply by the height. And I misspelled height on every single one of these. I apologize, guys. And it's going to be wrong down at the bottom too, and we'll fix that when we get there. Multiply by the height. So the height of this is the straight up and down line, which is 4. So I would take my 13, which I got, and I multiply that by 4. That'd be 12. I'd get 1, 4, 5, 52. And my very last step would be to divide by 2. So I'm going to take 52, divide that by 2, subtract, get 1, bring down my 2, it goes in there 6 times, I get 0. So just like all my area, this is 26 meters, and it's squared because it's area. So I added the bases together. So step 1, add 5 and 8. Then I multiply by the height, and the height is a straight up and down line, which is 4, and then I divide it by 2. Okay, let's try another example. Right here, step 1 is I have to add the bases, and those are my parallel lines. So my parallel lines are my 20 and my 6. So I add 20 plus 6, and I get 26. Step 2 says to multiply by the height, and my height is my straight up and down, which would be 10. So we take that and multiply it by 10, which would be 260. And then my last step is to divide by 2. So I take this 260 divided by 2. One time, 2 I subtract to get 0. Bring down my 6. Goes in there 3 times. That's 6 I get 0. Bring down my last number. It goes in there 0 times. I subtract to get 0. So my answer for this is 160 centimeters squared. 160, sorry guys. 130. I wrote it right, said it wrong. 130 centimeters squared. Okay, let's go down to the next one. Very first thing to do is fix my spelling error again. I wrote it once and copied and pasted it and didn't catch it till I was in the video. Okay, so right here, step 1, add the bases. Bases are my parallel lines. So I take 4 plus 7 to get 11. Step 2 says I multiply by the height. My height is my straight up and down number, which is 2. So I multiply that by 2 and get 22. And my last step is to divide by 2. So we take 22, divide it by 2, and I should get 11. So that should be a 2 there. 11 centimeters squared. And for the last one, try to get rid of that there. Oh, I'm sorry guys. There we go. Step 1 says to add the bases. The bases are my parallel lines. So I add 6 plus 8. I get 14. I then multiply by the height. And the height is my straight up and down number, which would be 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry my 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5, so that's 56. And my last step is to divide by 2. So take 56, divide it by 2. Goes there 2 times, so that's 4. I subtract to get 1. Bring down my 6. Goes there 8 times, that's 16. And I get 0, so 28 meters squared. So once again, the easiest thing to do, the easiest way to solve these problems is to follow these 3 steps right here. Add the bases, multiply by the height, and that's your vertical number, and then divide by 2. If you guys notice on this last problem, I did not use the 5, and I did not use the 7. That's okay. You're not going to use every part of this to find the area. All you're going to use are the parallel lines and the line that's going straight up and down and not at an angle. I did not use, if you look at all these problems, I did not use a single number that was at an angle, because that does not help us find area.